Each week, nearly a dozen movies are released theatrically. 40 films a month, more than 400 a year. That's a plethora of cinema. Too much cinema. You'd have to be an addict to see all that. But don't fret. We've got you covered. This is CinemAddicts.
Hey everyone, what's up? It's a new week of CinemAddicts. This is CinemAddicts episode 312. Me, Eric Holmes, and Bruce Purkey, we are covering movies that are coming out for the week of Friday, September 19th, 2025. Again, this is CinemAddicts episode 312. I'm not going to bury the lead this time. These are movies coming out this week, September 19th, but I also have a review of One Battle After Another, a movie that comes out September 26th. Why do you think I'm just jumping the gun here on One Battle After Another, Eric Holmes? Why? Why am I?
I mean, it's a Paul Thomas Anderson movie, so it's probably worth talking about, I think.
Do you think it's worth topping? You think PTA is worth? How much is PTA worth?
I haven't seen
you?
it, so I don't know, but based on his history, I would assume so.
Okay. Would you even tank this entire episode and just talk PTA for about 30 minutes? You want to just say
I'm cool with that.
You're cool. Yeah, that's you.
We'll start with the Phantom Thread and work our way to Boogie Nights.
Very good. Least favorite PTA movie, Eric Holmes. What's your least favorite one?
Least favorite?
Yeah. I would say mine would be Inherent Vice, but I still love it. See? That's how great PTA is, Eric. Come on. I know what you're thinking. Punch Drunk Love.
I don't know.
That's what you're thinking. You're thinking Punch Drunk Love?
Actually, you know what?
Sydney.
Licorice pizza.
Okay.
But again, that's like the worst Tarantino movie. It's like it's still good.
I apologize. I'll make a quick correction. It's not Inherent Vice. It would be Licorice Pizza, but it's still Licorice Pizza. I think if I could rate Licorice Pizza, it's still a 4.5-star film for me. So I'm saying, I don't know, Eric. He's done so many great movies.
I have no disagreements. I can play devil's advocate and say no, he sucks. I did not like his Mortal Kombat movie. There.
Who's a better filmmaker, PTA or Quentin Tarantino? Let me rephrase this. Which filmmaker do you prefer, which is akin to your personal movie-going taste?
Tarantino. Tarantino's a lot more genre than PTA is, but
okay.
I mean,
we'll get to that.
That's why I paused, because I was like, better filmmaker. Do not know.
It could be something like PTA could be a better filmmaker, but your personal favorite is Quentin Tarantino.
Their styles are way too different.
Right.
Quentin Tarantino was more my style, which is the kind of
genre
broad action-y genre kind of stuff. PTA is a lot more subdued, but it's still an interesting filmmaker. I think it'd be interesting to see Tarantino make like a Tarantino script and have PTA direct it, and then have Paul Thomas Anderson write like something that's very him, and then have Quentin Tarantino direct it and just see how they both turn out, because I think that'd be a fun sort of challenge or game or whatever you want to call it.
There you go, Eric Holmes. So movies opening.
What does Quentin Tarantino's Punch Drunk Love look like, and what does Paul Thomas Anderson's Kill Bill look like?
Oh, I love that. We said it at the same time. Be very, very interesting. Movies opening the week again. Friday, September 19th, 2025. The movies reviewed this episode are Night of the Reaper, London Calling. Me and Eric will have a review of that in a few moments. Plainclothes, The Compatriots, and Chain Reactions. It's a documentary, I believe, on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I could be wrong after that. But look, I just mentioned a bunch of movies, and Eric and I are so excited to talk about PTA. Goodbye, movies. We're not going to talk. Goodbye. Hey, by the way, Bruce Purkey has reviews of Cinem-Attic up in the attic of Night of the Reaper. And what else? He has Night of the Reaper, Chain Reactions, and I think he has one more, which I'm completely blanking on.
Secret Mall Apartment.
Oh, Secret Mall. I forgot to even put Secret. We have so many movies to review this week. Okay, so let's just say I even have on the Google Doc. There is another movie.
It's going to be a long episode. We're going to have to walk through the whole thing.
We're going to walk through the long. Then Eric Holmes is just in code trying to remind me that he has a review of The Long Walk as well towards the tail end of the show. So we have a grab bag of cinematic goodies for you on this episode 312 of CinemAddicts. We're going to make it a great one for you. We've seen so many movies, me, Eric Holmes, and Bruce Purkey, that I see a movie called The Senior, not The Senior, The Senior. I believe that movie stars Michael Chiklis. None of us got to it. And hopefully maybe on one of these pickups.
Greg, his name's Vic Mackey.
Vic Mackey. He's mentioned, right. Vic Mackey, Michael Chiklis' character from the Shield, of course. Yes,
Yes.
his name is Vic Mackey. No, and
Yeah, show some respect.
he's not.
Actually, don't show respect. His character's an a-hole in that show. But
I need you're right, Eric Holmes. I need to show respect to Vic Mackey and Michael Chiklis. And again, I will not call Michael Chiklis the first ever The Thing, but he is in this movie, The Senior. So we mentioned that. That's a movie coming out. Okay, but there's other stuff that are coming out this week. Let's get to it. I might just
we
yes,
also
sir.
have CinemAddicts Movie Club.
Oh yeah.
This week is The Fog, recommended by Joseph Grenier.
Grenier, yeah, Grenier or Grenier, however you say it.
Joseph, please kick me in the pants and tell me how to pronounce your last name correctly, and I will do so.
Yes, very good, Eric Holmes. Again, join our CinemAddicts Movie Club. It is a subset of our CinemAddicts Facebook group. So first, join our CinemAddicts Facebook group on Facebook, right? Or Meta. I don't know what you call it, but it's on a link on our show notes to join our group. We have some daily movie recommendations from really wonderful people like Joseph Bridges, Matt Stillman, Chad Wilfong, help me, Eric Holmes. There's some Jack Fitzpatrick. Jack Fitzpatrick does a whole bunch of stuff with Dexter, and there's Brian O'Connell. There's D. Grant Boston. There's so many great, wonderful people we've known over the years. Please join our CinemAddicts community via our Facebook group.
So some of them even recommended some Patreon picks for this month's Patreon episode.
Very good, Eric Holmes. Actually, Eric Holmes should be moderating the CinemAddicts every week.
I'm doing all the great segues.
You're doing the great segue. Good job, Eric Holmes, this week. So, Eric Holmes, as far as the assigned pick for our Patreon, okay, our assigned pick is actually covered on our main CinemAddicts feed. That will be covered next week. Thank you, Tracy Stonefield Peters. She's one of the OG CinemAddicts supporters from way back in the day. Tracy, all three of us, and of course, Anderson Clown. I'm going to put words in Anderson Clown's mouth. We all love you, Tracy Stonefield Peters. Her pick is Francis. Francis being made or released in 1982. We are covering on Patreon this month. Me, Eric, and Bruce, we're covering the year 1982, a very big year for movies, for cinema. So that's the first pick. Is it our assigned pick? Eric Holmes, can you read off the Patreon for our Patreon patrons? What two movies are me, you, and Bruce going to be covering for 1982?
Yes, it would appear that Joseph Bridges has recommended The Ballad of Gregorio Cortez. No idea what that is, but anything coming from Joseph Bridges is probably going to be strange or great or both. And the next one is Mike Cole and Jack Fitzpatrick.
Indie film, right? Yeah.
The
indie movie? What is it called?
Oh, First Blood. I believe it's an indie movie. I've never heard of it.
Small movie?
Actually, at the time it came out, maybe. But
okay, very good.
I mean, it since has become Rambo.
Oh.
But great, you said you've never seen First Blood. You've seen Lonely on the Brave, have you? The Kirk Douglas movie?
I still haven't seen it. You suggest that I do a double feature of it? Do you suggest that?
Yes. Okay. Because Lonely Are the Brave, and First Blood have a bunch of similar DNA as far as the plot goes.
Oh, Eric Holmes, if you want, Bruce Purkey, if you're listening, I'm sure you're listening, Bruce Purkey, you do not have to cover this, but before I forget, Eric Holmes, do you mind adding Lonely Are the Brave for our Patreon patrons? So at least me and you can talk about Lonely Are the Brave in lieu of its connection to First Blood. I will definitely see this immediately, Eric Holmes, because I will say this. Eric is a fan of the works of Kirk Douglas. He is a huge fan of the movie Lonely Are the Brave. I have promised Eric for the last 4 or 5 years to see this movie. I'm telling you, this will be a great idea, Eric Holmes.
The thing is, here's what you can do. You can watch First Blood or Lonely Are the Brave. Watch either one.
Okay.
But what's going to happen is whichever one you watch, that's going to get you hyped as hell to watch the other one.
Oh, okay. Very, very good.
Because they're both great movies, and you're just going to watch it and go, I need more of that. Ooh, hey, this next one is basically exactly that, so let's do that again.
I'm assuming, Eric, you've seen all of the First Blood or the Rambo films. Were you disappointed by the subsequent films because you love First Blood? I know it's a spoiler alert as far as your review of First Blood.
No, the Rambo movies are way different than First Blood. First Blood's a lot more it's not like a Jeremy Saulnier movie because they came out way before Jeremy Saulnier, but they kind of have that kind of feel to them. And then the Rambo movies are, I think, Rambo First Blood Part 2 was written by James Cameron. So you can imagine that, the Rambo First Blood Part 2 was much more actiony, and then they kind of lean into that with the Rambo 3. And then, of course, Rambo. That movie was just like straight carnage all the way through. Rambo: Last Blood was half a good movie, and then the last half kind of fell off a bit, but overall not bad. But that would probably be my least favorite of the whole thing.
Okay. Yeah, because I haven't seen
And I think people will have like, especially like the later Rambo movies, I think there's some jingoistic sort of coding or maybe very expliciting that people don't like.
Mm.
I don't really follow the politics of a Rambo movie too much. I just kind of take it at face value. But I know there are people that criticize it on that, and it's absolutely fair to do so.
It's interesting.
But the First Blood's definitely like anti-war movie. The following ones are kind of anti that.
That's so very interesting. And I'm assuming, again, I haven't seen First Blood. I've only seen sections of it over the years through YouTube and movie clips. But I'm assuming that there are people who love First Blood who, based on what you're saying, don't even want to watch any of those other installments. They can just like First Blood without liking the sequels or loving the sequels. So.
Yeah. I mean, you can like First Blood and then still love the sequels as I do, but I could see someone watching First Blood going, "Oh, this is great," and then watch the previous or the following Rambo movies and go, "Wait, what happened here?"
All right, so before we get to our featured reviews, I'm excited.
Talking about PTA, talking about Rambo.
It's a good show.
Now we'll get to the show finally.
Right. I apologize, Eric, and I apologize, listeners. Before we get to the show, I'm not going to bury the lead. Do you mind if I just start off with?
It's already been buried, but go ahead.
Do you mind if I do one battle after another? I'll do a review of one battle
let's
after
go for
another. Spoiler-free, Eric Holmes, so you and Bruce and our fellow Cinematic listeners will not be spoiled regarding as far as plot points in this movie, because I think it's very important.
Spoil the hell out of it.
Spoil the heck out of it. So let me go with a plot summary.
Does Leonardo DiCaprio die at the end?
Yes, and he sees ghosts, and it's not a man, it's a woman. It's who is? Oh, no. Anyways, there's a lot.
It turns out he was Iron Man the whole time.
I will say this about one battle after another. If you can, everyone's gonna say see it in VistaVision or IMAX or all these things, and do that. And if you see it on the best possible theater possible, if you have the money or if you have the great AMC plan or movie plan to go see it. I will do a couple of big warnings before we get into one battle after another. First big warning, the movie is 170 minutes, okay? By the third act, I'm in better shape than I was maybe in March. So I was able to hold things in, and I'm not talking about my emotions. Okay, there are things you will need to hold in for 170 minutes. So if you're thinking of that big extra large, big gulp or Coke or soda or water bottle and whatnot, hopefully it's water because it's healthier. Fruit punch, I don't know.
Turtle heading a little bit. So we're getting
yes, yeah. Or in my case,
touching cloth, as they say.
I mean, in my case, mini turtling a bit. I don't know. I'm just hold on for dear. You might be holding on for dear life because it's a 170-minute movie. Okay, that's a big warning. Second warning is there are a couple of plot points, or let's just say there's a couple of plot points that. If you read a ton of reviews or if you go on YouTube, listen to a bunch of reviews, there might be some people who might spill a plot point that I don't think is worth sharing at all for one battle after another. So my opinion is if you see it opening weekend or maybe the second week, the sooner the better, go see one battle after another in theaters. It's a 5-star experience for me. I love this movie. I'm still debating whether it's my favorite PTA film or not. My favorite PTA film is Phantom Thread. Eric Holmes' favorite PTA film is what, Eric Holmes? What is your favorite PTA film?
Probably Boogie Nights.
Boogie Nights. Okay.
I mean, I got a bad tattoo of it right there.
Wait, what is? Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Okay.
It's Dirk Diggler.
Oh,
it's how my friend started doing tattoos. It was like one of his first ones.
Wow.
So it's not good, but for a first time.
Yeah. Very good. All right. What year did you get that? Do you remember the year you got the Dirk Diggler tattoo on your?
Do not.
On your bicep.
Okay.
It
would have been right
20 years
before
ago?
I moved out.
Oh, 15 years ago maybe.
Getting close to 20 years ago. I don't think it was
That's
quite
amazing.
20 years ago.
So I'm saying no matter how much you love one battle after another, Boogie Nights has to be your favorite PTA film because you have the tattoo emblazoned on your bicep.
Maybe I'll cover it up with one battle after another tattoo.
Right. So there's a couple plot points that might be let go, you might stumble onto, and I hope you guys don't see it as soon as possible. Okay, so let's get to the review. Quote from Warner Brothers Pictures. This is the official synopsis. One Battle After Another. It's written and directed by PTA. Stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, Benicio del Toro, Regina Hall, Tiana Taylor, and newcomer Chase Infinity. Quote, washed up revolutionary Bob, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, he exists in a state of stoned paranoia, surviving off the grid with his spirited, self-reliant daughter, Willa, played by Chase Infinity. When his evil nemesis, played by Sean Penn, resurfaces after 16 years and his daughter goes missing, the former radical scrambles to find her, and the movie is a father and daughter tale about battling the consequences of Bob's past. Okay, PTA spent 20 plus years crafting One Battle After Another. It started off as he wanted to do a movie that centered around a car chase. So it took him 20 years to evolve that. And then Thomas Pynchon, who I believe is a just celebrated writer, okay, and who wrote Inherent Vice? Who's the author of Inherent Vice? That's not Thomas Pynchon, is it? I could be wrong right now.
Yeah. No,
okay.
It's the same guy.
Yeah, so Thomas Pynchon, the author of Inherent Vice, and obviously that's the source material for PTA's movie Inherent Vice. PTA was inspired by another Thomas Pynchon novel called Vineland. And he actually said in press interviews that he stole parts of that book or was inspired by parts of that book, and he mixed that Vineland inspiration with his inspiration for car chase to make a movie about car chases. And then what you have is One Battle After Another. So you have a couple of these really interesting influences combined to make this movie at 170 minutes. Biggest surprise of 170 minutes, Eric Holmes, can you think of a movie that's close to 3 hours that didn't feel like close to 3 hours to you?
Wolf of Wall Street.
Wolf of Wall Street, okay. Yeah. Very good. Great answer, Eric Holmes. Okay.
I guess I'm not supposed to love that movie, but
One Battle After Another, if you do decide to, if you can't hold it in, and maybe it's not healthy to hold things in, and you need to go to the nearest washroom in your local theater, you will be missing plot points because, well, I mean, you will be missing moments because there is not a wasted minute, in my opinion, of One Battle After Another running at 170 minutes. Sean Penn, it says he's an evil nemesis. He is just this military authority figure who has this interesting lust for Bob's former soulmate, played by Tiana Taylor, and she's very good in this movie. And it's interesting because this movie it's an epic film, but it's a genre-fied experience because going back to the car chase element there's a lot of car chases in this movie. This is, like people are saying, this is PTA's grand scale action film. If you are looking for something like Phantom Thread, where you have people talking back and forth or trying to poison each other with a lot of exposition or seeing ghosts, I love that. That's my kind of film. Okay. You're not going to get that with One Battle After Another. One Battle After Another, it's the exact title. That means there is one action set piece after another for 170 minutes.
Oh, so this is PTA's Kill Bill.
It's PTA's Kill Bill. It pretty much.
We were just talking about that earlier.
Exactly. It is. If you're wondering, Eric Holmes, how would PTA direct a straight up action film that has a lot of possible narrative depth to it? Yeah, I suppose so, because it's about revolutionaries. A lot of these revolutionaries are played by, again, Leonardo DiCaprio, Tiana Taylor, Regina Hall. They are among the revolutionaries. And of course, there's the star of Licorice Pizza, not Cooper, but the other actress who is one of the members of Haim, I believe. And she's also in this movie. She's one of the revolutionaries as well. But it's a very interesting movie because it has that revolutionary element. It has Sean Penn he's a military official who is trying to climb up the ladder, and you're wondering, is he racist? Is he evil? I'll let you guys decide when you explore the narrative.
Is there a difference?
Counter with that. No, I guess there is not a difference at all. Eric Holmes, yeah, thank you for the correction. I will say this for us, as far as Oscars go, we know that the Oscars love PTA. Hold on one second. But I will say this, Chase Infinity, if you remember in Phantom Thread, thanks to Phantom Thread, Vicky Krieps became a pretty huge star. And you can tell. I'm sure when were you surprised at how big Vicky Krieps became, or do you remember watching Phantom Thread and you say, well, I don't know who this person is. I think she will become a star or a working actress, right? You felt that way about Vicky Krieps?
I didn't really feel that way as I was watching Phantom Thread.
Fair.
But like when I saw her in other things, I'm like, oh, cool, she's in this.
Right. She's thanks to PTA, she's actually really, I mean, she had a career before PTA, unlike Chase Infinity. This is her feature debut, one battle after another for Chase Infinity. But Vicky Krieps became a star after Phantom Thread. And like Eric said, she's been working on a whole bunch of stuff since then. Chase Infinity, you've never seen her before. She is a star in the making. And because thanks to one battle after another, I wouldn't be surprised if you see Chase Infinity in a lot more movies. And she actually has the magnetism to not just be part of an ensemble, but to actually headline movies like the aforementioned Vicky Krieps does now. And I think it's a shoo-in that Chase Infinity gets an Oscar nomination, supporting actress nomination for One Battle After Another. Sean Penn, give me a couple of Sean Penn movies that you really love. The Falcon and the Snowman, Fast Times, right? I thought The Gunman was underrated. I like The Gunman.
Bad Boys was good.
I love that.
We just talked about it last week. I keep forgetting the name of it.
Oh, which one?
The Bringing Up the Dead movie.
Oh, right. I forgot. Well, I didn't see it. You and Bruce saw it. Yeah, there's a ambulance movie. Yeah. So with him and
I don't know. Oh, well,
Daddy-O. How's that?
Daddy-O. There you go.
Daddy-O. This is
Andrew
one of
Clark recommended it to us. That was a great one.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew Clark, for that recommendation of Daddy-O. And also, Brian De Palma is my favorite director, so of course I'm going to mention Carlito's Way. Of course.
I forget. Dude,
Oh, dude. And
yes.
And you're going to kick yourself. Casualties of War, Sean Penn and Casualties of War, possibly one of my all-time
I'm not kicking myself for Carlito's Way because like it's one of those things you bring up Sean Penn. It's like, who the hell is Sean Penn? Oh, wait, no, yep, that's
yeah. And then I earlier mentioned the member of Haim and Alana Haim. She played Alana in Licorice Pizza. She's also one of the revolutionaries in One Battle After Another. But going back to Sean Penn, probably one of my top three, if not my favorite Sean Penn character ever. It is a great knock it out of the park performance from Sean Penn. He is definitely a shoo-in for a supporting actor nomination. And I don't know what else is coming. I know this is still September. There's a lot of movies to be released, but I would be surprised if Sean Penn doesn't get an Oscar for this. It's such a showy, amazing role. And Chase Infinity will at least get an Oscar nomination. And Leonardo DiCaprio, it's one of my favorite. What? Which, no.
I'm sorry. I'm just. Well, the Sean Penn movies are just gonna start popping in my head now. But Milk.
You mentioned
that was an obvious one.
Yeah, you mentioned how much you love QT, Quentin Tarantino. So I'm sure, and you mentioned Wolf of Wall Street. So I'm sure those two movies are among your favorite Leonardo DiCaprio films. But we can just go on a laundry list of great DiCaprio performances.
Pick one. He's got a pretty solid filmography.
And this. I think, right. The Revenant. Okay, right.
Don't Look Up.
Okay. I kept on telling Eric Holmes all these years how great that movie is, and he wouldn't listen to me.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Me and Neil deGrasse Tyson both agree that you and Bruce are wrong about that.
Yes, me and Bruce Purkey panned Don't Look Up, and Eric Holmes was pretty much ganged up on that episode. I don't know if it was a CinemAddicts or a Find Your Film episode, but Eric Holmes ended up being on the right side of right. Okay,
was nominated for an Oscar for Best Screenplay. Fucking nerds.
Very good, Eric Holmes. Yes, me and Bruce were wrong about Don't Look Up. But all that said, this is a great performance from Leonardo DiCaprio. I'm thinking when he played Frank Abagnale in Catch Me If You Can, I think it's one of my more beloved DiCaprio performance since Frank Abagnale, and I think that's his character in Catch Me If You Can, but he is so great in One Battle After Another. Yes, sir.
I concur. Do you concur?
Yeah, and I will say this, like, why am I rating this 5 stars? It's just a top of the line action narrative. The way that action is integrated into the plot dynamics absolutely works. It reminds me of such classics as The Wages of Fear and the remake Sorcerer, where the action is not just predicated on or exists just to exist. It's the action moves the plot. Same thing as One Battle After Another. It feels very visceral and it feels plot driven, and the action serves as the exposition in One Battle After Another. And all that said, so there's some really good writing in this movie as well, and it's just a perfect movie. And out of all of I love PTA. Who doesn't love PTA? But out of all of his movies, I will say One Battle After Another is a movie I will keep on watching. It has, in my opinion, the highest rewatchability of any PTA film, short of possibly There Will Be Blood. I continue to watch those 10 minutes of There Will Be Blood ad nauseum. But I think as far as rewatchability factor, Eric Holmes can agree or disagree with me on this, but I'm thinking Boogie Nights, There Will Be Blood, One Battle After Another. But out of all of these, One Battle After Another is a movie that I will keep on returning to, because you can actually plant yourself in a certain section in this 170-minute movie and just return to it and return to it. And it's just a great, varied narrative. So, Eric Holmes, and you have any questions about One Battle After Another? But I think that's my review.
The only question I have is, does DiCaprio die at the end? And does he is he revealed to be a ghost in Iron Man and all that?
Right, yeah.
But we'll save that for the spoiler stuff.
We're going to save that for the spoilers. But yeah, very good stuff. And maybe, who knows, maybe I'll do some spoilers next week for our CinemAddicts Patreon members and then release it a week later for our CinemAddicts YouTube channel. But my rating for One Battle After Another, it's going to be, Oscars are going to love this. Most importantly, cinephiles, movie lovers will love One Battle After Another. I'm assuming Eric Holmes opening weekend will be watching One Battle After Another on either IMAX or VistaVision. It is a glorious, amazing movie that had a lot of hype behind it. And it's one of those rare films that, in my opinion, over exceeds the hype. 5 stars, I think. Yes.
From what you're saying, it sounds like just casual audiences will dig this one too.
Great point, Eric Holmes. You do not have to be a huge fan of PTA like Eric Holmes is to enjoy One Battle After Another. You can actually be a pick and choose PTA fan, meaning you like certain parts of his movies, certain movies. You might hate most of his movies, but I think...
Or you have no idea who he is.
Or you may not know who he is. This is a broad scale, amazing PTA experience, even if you don't know PTA. It's a great movie all across the board. So I think this might be his biggest. Does he have huge box office hits? But this will be a broad, it's broad entertainment, but that's also a great meal, great cinematic meal. This is as perfect a movie as possible. My review, I don't know if it's tailored or not. I got to see this, even though me, Eric, and Bruce, we actually earn cheeseburger money for CinemAddicts. Thank you, Patreon members. Thank you, listeners to this podcast. We get our little, I don't know, do you use, with the dollars you get every month, the couple of dollars, do you use it for cheeseburgers? Or I apologize. Do you use it for
That's a family show. I can't divulge that.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Sorry for the, I think it might be.
It rhymes with Bookers.
Very, very good. Very good. Yes, it's a new hamburger called Nookers. Okay. That's a family show. So One Battle After Another. Thank you. Listeners, tell us what you think of this movie. Are you excited? Give some comments. Favorite PTA film, whatever. I know this. By the way, this review went so long. We're not going to cover the rest of this episode. We're going to sign off right now and head over to the Cine-Attic. But 5 stars for One Battle After Another. And I'm going to actually give Eric Holmes' review. What's your star rating for One Battle After Another before seeing the movie, Eric Holmes? What are you giving it?
It's 0 stars because I've not seen it.
0 stars for Eric Holmes. But I'm sure he's going to give it 6.9 stars when he sees it a week from now. All right, that is One Battle After Another. 170 minutes. Check it out in theaters September 26th. Now let us get to an Eric Holmes review. This movie came out during the week of the September 19th, 2025, specifically on digital September 16th. There's a movie that Eric saw called The Compatriots. He also did interviews for this movie. It centers on this guy named Javi, played by Rafael Silva. He is an undocumented immigrant. He's facing deportation. He reunites with his estranged best friend, Hunter, played by Dennis Shepard, a bachelor seeking deeper connections. Together, these friends embark on a, quote, heartfelt journey to prevent Javi's expulsion from the only country he has ever called home. The movie, yes, it is called The Compatriots. It's directed by Spencer Cohen. Again, available on digital this week. Eric Holmes has the skinny on the review. Eric Holmes, take it away.
Yeah, this has kind of a combination of story-wise, not necessarily tone-wise, but story-wise, a combination of Marisol meets now pronounced you Chuck and Larry. Yeah, right. Rafael Silva, him and his father are illegal immigrants. And so there's, I forget the character's name, but someone kind of to drop on him or, drop some info to ICE and says, hey, they're illegal immigrants. And where are they at? And I'm like, well, you going to let me join you? And they're like, yeah, sure, kid. Where are they at? And then, he sells them out. And so even before that, Javi knows that he's, not long to live in America. So him and Hunter decided to devise a plan of, because Javi's gay, it's like, let's just, let's just get married and then you can stay in the country. It's like Hunter's saying this as, oh, this will be easy. We'll just get married and then it's fine. Javi he's a little more astute and knows that it's not as easy as that because they're going to do some prying and digging and, all this. It's not just, hey, here's a piece of paper, go away, and people are going to pry into their lives. But then that's kind of what's going on. Prior to that, we get to see Hunter and Javi we get to see him in high school. And Hunter's, they both play baseball. Javi's a pitcher and Hunter's the catcher, and they work really well together. And the scene opens with Javi throwing a no-hitter. And it was the high school's first no-hit perfect game ever. And so they get all excited about it. Hunter and Javi it's post-game. They're getting changed and everything and kind of celebrating with each other. And Hunter gives Javi a hug. It's like, oh, you did so good. I'm so proud of you. And it's like, yeah, thanks. You're a great friend. And Javi misconstrues that as because Javi's attracted to Hunter, but Hunter's not gay. So then Javi just goes in for a kiss. And then Hunter's like, oh, get away from me. Like he's, just complete gay panic at that point.
Right.
And then someone has taken a picture of them together as they were taking a kiss. And then so that comes up later. And so like all this stuff that happens in the high school kind of informs what their relationship becomes 4 years later when Javi's and his dad's trying to deal with this whole possible deportation threat. And it's also cool to see Hunter like in high school, him and Javi, like how they're great friends. That kiss happens, and then they just like Hunter doesn't want to have anything to do with Javi, and it's just like really heartbreaking to see. But then you get to see him kind of work, like 4 years later, you get to see him kind of work past that, and then Hunter gets to grow a bit, and then they kind of become close again, and then I believe was it Caroline Portu, I believe. I think Tracy's a character. She's kind of like the third one, and she's kind of the one that sort of orchestrates them kind of coming together. Not coming together as like an item because Hunter's not gay, but coming together as friends. And yeah, it's just a really good character piece, a really good kind of long epic journey of friendship. It's got something to say about homophobia. It's got something to say about friendship. It's got something to say about deportation. Just Javi in general is a great character that you fall in love with because he's an outsider by many aspects. So it's easy to fall in love with him and follow his plight. And then when you see Hunter, who's one of his best friends, just turn on him, it's heartbreaking. But then to watch him kind of work that out and slowly get back together and in a way is also heartening. It's a really great movie.
It sounds like a family movie too. Has some family elements, maybe.
Yeah.
Friendship and some good lessons.
I think of family movies like the Clumps or like a Pixar movie, but I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, because like Marisol doesn't really deal with the gay themes, but definitely deals with the immigrant themes. But Marisol's like a really dark movie. By the way, watch Marisol. That movie's awesome. But this one's more lighthearted, but kind of like the Rainn Wilson movie we just did.
Oh my gosh, Code 3.
Code 3.
That's such a
much
good
like
movie.
Code 3, it's pretty light, but it hits difficult themes throughout. And so it's got that balance of kind of funny, kind of light. We can have it, but like when it gets serious, it's like, okay, we're getting serious now. Let's sit down and talk about this. And then, okay, we had our talk. Let's go be funny again. So it's kind of
Oh,
got all that stuff.
so this sounds like a good movie, Eric. I was thinking,
I would say great movie. Yeah, this one's
oh,
really
okay.
good.
I thought it was going to be a generic drama, and I'm wrong. I'm in the wrong,
You
right?
know what?
I'm
I
in the
would say
wrong.
the poster would lead you to believe that
Okay.
for sure. But
Oh,
no, the Compatriots it's really sweet, really funny, really poignant at times, and
are me and
there's
Bruce
certain
missing
times
out?
though.
Are me and
I
Bruce?
I think so. I think so.
Okay, I
I
probably
can't
like it.
imagine. I can't imagine anyone watching this movie that wouldn't fall in love with Javi. Well, I can imagine many people that wouldn't fall in love with Javi just because, you know,
Right. That's who
woke,
they
woke.
are. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're not a complete a-hole,
Right.
I can't imagine someone not falling in love with Javi.
Oh, very good. Great movie from called The Compatriots. It's available
Yes.
currently on digital. I will have a link where you guys can purchase or rent The Compatriots. Eric Holmes, what is your rating on The Compatriots?
That's tough. I kind of want to go three-star banger, but I think it's got more broad appeal for that. So I'll just go
Good.
4.5 on this one.
4.5 stars from Eric Holmes for The
And I
Compatriots.
think I think if I watch this 3, 4, 5 more times, it could go up to a 5. Not
Were
quite
you,
ready for a 5 yet, but I mean it's getting close.
were you surprised at how much you liked the movie, Eric?
Well, the only thing I knew about it going in was the poster, so I was very, very surprised. But also the other thing I knew coming in was it was the PR lady Emma sent it to me. So whenever she sends me something, I'm like, that's probably gonna be good. So
Yeah,
we'll see what's up.
we love Emma. Emma is a publicist that Eric Holmes exclusively works with and does a lot of interviews. You didn't tell Emma that we never air her stuff, right? We never air. Emma, if you're listening, we never
Yeah,
air any of
well,
your
she's not
Sorry,
gonna
Emma.
hear this because we're not gonna air it. So
We love it. We love Emma and her wonderful films that Eric Holmes gets to cover, and hopefully I get to cover because I'm going to watch The Compatriots as well.
she'll probably
I'll
be
do a
angry
review.
that I even mentioned her name. I don't want to be part of the story. Come on.
So
But she is great. One of the best
yeah,
PR people ever.
I definitely want to check out The
And
Compatriots, and
and
I'll do a
she and
rewind.
she totally has my card as far as like movies I'll like. It's like Eric's gonna dig this one, and she's right every
Oh,
time.
oh, very, very cool. And it's a huge endorsement from Eric Holmes for The Compatriots. Again, finally, currently on digital. Yeah, hopefully it's on Amazon. If it's on Amazon, if you actually click on the link on our show notes, rent or purchase it, me, Eric, and Bruce, and even Anderson, we get a little bit of a cut. That helps with our cheeseburger money or the Nooker money that Eric uses for this new interesting hamburger that he cooks up. It's called Nookers. So I don't know what that is. So family show. Before we get to the movie that Eric and I did together, we were going to do a movie review together and close out Cinematics. I have one more. Oh, and Eric has one more. I have so many things to cover, but there's about 3 more movies we're going to cover, value added for the show. And then after that, please stay in the attic with Bruce Purkey for some really interesting reviews as well. But let me
Oh,
get to this. Yes, Eric.
I was gonna say you do yours, and then we got the one that we both. Well, actually, you got 2 single ones, so do both those, and then you and I will
Okay.
tag team on
Okay.
the last one.
Tag Team Family Show. There's a
Yeah,
movie called
call me back, and we'll come back to that one.
yeah, Eric Holmes is gonna take a siesta. I think he's gonna make some I don't know, lemonade right now, and then he'll come back in about 5 minutes. He deserves the break with all the interviews, and we haven't even mentioned a couple of plugs that Eric Holmes is gonna have towards the end of the episode. Stay tuned for that in a second. There's a movie called Plainclothes, which I'm remiss to say that it's a movie that I feel that both Eric Holmes and Bruce Purkey will love. Quote, official plot is set in 1990, set in the 1990s, Syracuse, New York. It centers on this undercover officer played by Tom Blythe. And this officer his name is Lucas, again, played by actor Tom Blythe. He is assigned to lure and arrest gay men who, for indecent exposure in public bathrooms, where these men, he tries to seduce them. And before they get to the act of sex, family show, in the bathroom, he has them arrested. Okay, so that is part of the job of Lucas, this undercover officer. That is his job, to arrest people who are doing, quote, criminal activities. It's indecent exposure in the bathroom, having sex. Okay, but here's a catch: Lucas is gay. Okay, Lucas is gay, and he is in a job that, even though it's really not explicitly stated, but we're assuming that Lucas is passionate about being a police officer. But is he so passionate about doing this job, luring gay men into bathrooms and arresting them? This is a huge conflict of interest. And what ups up the stakes for Plainclothes is in one encounter, he meets this person named Andrew, played by actor Russell Tovey. They go to the bathroom. He is attracted to him. And he is so attracted to Andrew, he realizes he cannot arrest him. He cannot arrest him. So he immediately leaves the bathroom with Andrew trying to chase him down. And as Andrew chases Lucas down while Lucas is trying to leave, Andrew slips him a note. And this leads to a chain of events in Plainclothes, which is very, very interesting. It's the featured directing debut of Carmen Emmy. It's a Sundance Award-winning, it's called a thriller, and it has thriller elements because what happens is you realize Lucas, the undercover police officer, is very attracted to Andrew. Yes, Eric Holmes.
Real quick, just to clarify, so he's luring them in to arrest them for the crime of being gay?
For the crime of just indecent exposure, sex in public bathrooms, which is...
That sounds like you're being arrested for being gay, because if you're luring him to that, that's textbook entrapment.
I'm not gonna.
It's like I wasn't asking you to come there. You brought it up.
Right. Exactly.
It's like, hey, Greg, you want to do some drugs? No, I never touched the stuff. Come on here, let me know and do it for you. And then all of a sudden, you're doing the drugs. It's like, dude, you put it in my face. Like,
exactly. It could be entrapment, but that's currently the operation. But I guess in the context of it being 1990 Syracuse, this is also a time where you could tell, I don't know how much things have changed, but definitely in the 1990s, there is, I don't know, homophobia more rampant in the 90s. Maybe that's part of the text behind Plainclothes.
I think it came back, but
yes,
people probably had nostalgia for that back then, and then it's coming back now. But yeah,
well,
for sure.
Eric, if you say it's coming back right now, then that means something like Plainclothes, which is set in 1990 Syracuse, has some modern day sensitivity as well. Okay,
I would agree with that,
and I agree with Eric Holmes on that. So it's a dated movie seemingly, but it's not. It's not a dated film. So what you see is that the narrative centers on Lucas's possible relationship with Andrew. Can they have a relationship? Will Lucas tell Andrew his job as a police officer? What does Andrew do? What is his job? Can they make it work? But here's a thriller element. It's a nonlinear narrative. So it's not a A to B story. So it's a puzzle piece of a movie where Lucas realizes he lost a letter from Andrew at his family home. And he's wondering where this letter went. And if his mother or his uncle or a family member finds that letter, then Lucas's secret, which is him being gay, will unfortunately come out without him having to come out. And that's a huge thing he does not want. Okay. And that is the premise of Plainclothes. It's also interestingly shot. Portions of the movie are shot under high 8 camcorder. For the 1990s, you had camcorder aesthetic. So, and it's interesting because Carmen Emmy uses digital and camcorders of the day, but that doesn't mean the movie looks really cheap or whatnot. It's the aesthetic of the day, and also it's a very visually interesting movie, and it's also disorienting because the movie is told in a nonlinear narrative, and you get to really get into the mindset of Lucas throughout this movie. It's a really well done.
The part you mentioned about that he doesn't want it coming out that he's gay kind of reminds me of the lawmakers and politicians that are like always trying to disparage gay people, LGBTQ. And it's like, oh, they're a blight on society, they're against God, and they should all be wiped off the planet. And then all of a sudden they find some gay porn on their computer, and it turns out they were gay the whole time. It's like,
there's a lot of hypocrisy.
I don't want to. I'd spent so much time disparaging people like myself and going against my own interest that I can't come out as myself because I've done so much damage to make that difficult for me to do.
Exactly. And Lucas is a really good guy. He's a good guy. And that's why he's understandable. At least he's conflicted about his situation as a cop.
I don't know if I go as far as to say good guy the way you're describing it, but...
Oh, that's true. Right. Well, he means well. I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, that doesn't track either.
That doesn't track.
He's a homophobe that throws gays in jail for being gay, but you know,
He's
he's a
gay.
gay
He's
guy.
also gay.
No, you're kind
Eric,
of a P.
Tom Blythe, he has kind eyes. He has kind eyes. But
I will say you're absolutely selling me on this because it sounds like this movie sounds like dirty and morally complicated.
it is. I think it's highly morally complicated. It's a great and it's an indie film shot in 18 days. Carmen Emmy, he grew up in Syracuse, and I think one of his family members was or is a police officer as well. So it's a very interesting movie. Plainclothes, I highly recommend it. I'm gonna see if I can get you a screener link, and you can do a rewind next week, Eric, because it's a fantastic movie. I'm giving Plainclothes 4.5 stars. The ending, I'm not gonna give too much away, but it just snaps. It just hits you. The ending hits you really well, and there are some action elements in Plainclothes. I'm not gonna mention what it is it's about.
You don't have to give away the ending, but like,
Of course.
maybe I shouldn't ask. What I was gonna ask was, is the ending like? It sounds like it's satisfying, but is it
So good. It's so good.
Is it like a happy ending, or is it like a great ending, but you're just gonna be bummed the hell out at the end?
I will say this.
And maybe you can't answer that.
No,
so
I'm gonna
feel free to-
I'm gonna answer this because there are a lot of reviews who have answered your question, Eric. I don't know if it's a spoiler thing. There's a couple of reviews where they say the ending is cathartic or it's hopeful. I will just say that the ending, it ends and it's a perfect note of an ending, and I think it's really well done without
and
going
the title
overboard.
that says "To be continued" and flashes forward to today.
It's an interesting cut, and then you go, "Oh, it just ended like that." Oh, I like that. I like that. So, Plainclothes, yeah,
That's perfect.
yeah, it is perfect, Eric,
Perfect
because the actual title is called Plainclothes, right? That's in reference to him being an
Plainclothes
undercover.
cop.
Yes, to be an undercover, plainclothes cop. But it's also plainclothes regarding the ending because there's not a lot of dressing towards the end of the movie. It doesn't overplay its hand, which I really adore. 4.5 stars for Plainclothes. Hits theaters Friday,
sold me.
September
The
19th.
more you talk, the more it keeps selling.
I will say this: Tom Blythe and the other actor
I'm pre-starting this at 5 stars. I can feel it.
and Russell Tovey as the men who are possibly in lust or in love with each other. There is palpable chemistry. Love the chemistry between these two leads. Very well done movie, and it's very lustful, and it's yearning, and it's morally complicated, and it has a lot of things. It will make you mad. And so there's a lot of things in Plainclothes that I really love. 4.5 stars. Sundance Award-winning film from filmmaker Carmen Emmy. If I get a link for Eric Holmes, he will have a rewind next week, and we might bury the lead and just talk about Plainclothes and not even deal with any of the stuff like we did this week with one battle after another. Let's get to Eric Holmes. No, we're not. We have one final thing with Eric Holmes for the long walk, but before we get to that, Eric Holmes and I will review a new Josh Duhamel movie. It's called London Calling. It's theaters September 19th. He and I actually interviewed, I believe his name is Jeremy Ray Taylor. He's one of the stars, one of the main stars for London Calling, and it's a simple plot. And I'm going to read it right now.
Yeah, he was also, I think most people would recognize him from It.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
And so there's a hitman played by Josh Duhamel. At the beginning of the movie, he's on a job in, I believe, London, and he accidentally kills the cousin of a mob boss. That mob boss is played by Aidan Gillen. By accidentally killing the relative of a mob boss, this hitman, again played by Josh Duhamel, is exiled to Los Angeles. And several minutes later, we see him in L.A.
Sorry, taking my glasses off.
Oh, no worries.
For no reason in particular.
No, you have to wipe the glasses. I understand. But he
it has nothing to do with the movie at all. I'm just taking my glasses off.
No worries. Now, the hitman, he's now living in L.A. He's doing jobs left and right for this other crime boss, played by Rick Hoffman. Okay. And now that he's in L.A., that crime boss, played by Rick Hoffman, has the hitman character, tells the hitman, hey, teach my son the ropes of being a hitman. And that son of that crime boss is played by Jeremy Ray Taylor. And London Calling has basically the main premise is the hitman is teaching a crime boss's son on how to become a hitman. The movie hits theaters September 19th. It's directed by Alan Unger. Eric and I Separately, we interviewed Jeremy Ray Taylor. I'm sure really nice guy, really good guy, and you liked interviewing. I'm sure you liked the interview with Jeremy. Good.
Oh yeah, yeah, he was great.
Yeah, he was great too. Again, it's something from a couple of weeks ago. So Eric and I are still we're talking about we're seeing this movie called The Fog this week. Eric Holmes, I believe, loved The Fog from years back, but he's going to do a rewatch.
No,
for
hated The Fog from years back, so I'm excited for a rewatch to see if I can come around on it.
Oh, okay.
The Fog was the one John Carpenter movie I don't like.
Oh, very
But
interesting.
we'll see if something changes on that.
Okay,
well, and again, CinemAddicts Movie Club, check that out. But London Calling, for me, Eric Holmes, I'm saying this in the wrong way, I'm sure, but it was a nice way to pass the time. It doesn't offer anything new regarding the action comedy mechanics. I like the chemistry between Jeremy Ray Taylor and Josh Duhamel. They have enough bonding time to make it a nice buddy movie. Aidan Gillen as the crime boss is very good. And I think this is overall a nice diversion for, I don't know, I didn't have the running time. I'm assuming it's maybe 90 plus minutes. Eric Holmes, can you add some texture to London Calling that I'm not? But it was...
So the thing I responded most to this movie was all the characters are a-holes. Specifically, Rick Hoffman is Benson. He's kind of like, you got actors like John C. McGinley or Bruce Campbell. Like they're a-holes, but that's kind of part of their charm.
Yep.
Like if they're playing nice guys, you'd be like, I'm not interested. But once they start playing kind of these creeps or a-holes, it's like, okay, that's the one I signed up for. Rick Hoffman has that dialed down to a science. I've seen him this and a couple other things, and he's kind of...
You've never seen Suits. He's great in Suits.
But he's got that, like, he's super cool. And even when I was talking with Jeremy Ray Taylor, he was talking about how, like, Rick Hoffman just on set, like, when they're shooting, like, he's just on it and super quick. And it's just, I really respond, like, I hate a-holes in real life, but I love watching them in movies when they can do it like this, to where it's like, I hate this guy, and I know the movie wants me to hate this guy, and I know the actor playing the character wants me to hate this guy. So you're basically, it's the movie itself giving you permission. It's like, it's okay to secretly kind of like this guy. You're supposed to kind of like hating him, but he's got that. And then Josh Duhamel, he's kind of got that kind of little a-hole to him as well. And then like they're constantly picking on Jeremy Ray Taylor's character, Julian. But then when he kind of comes out of his shell, he starts like kind of being a little a-hole back. I'm like, oh, this is like a a-hole trifecta. I'm loving this. So yeah, as far as like, as far as like an action thriller sort of, cat and mouse sort of thing, it's kind of by the books. But I think where this really shines is with the characters and their interactions with each other, and how like bright and funny, like that they go hard on each other, but it doesn't. It's weird. It seems mean-spirited on paper, but in practice, there's just something about their performances that kind of almost winks at the camera saying, it's okay. You can laugh at this. But there's like, I think if you get the wrong actors in this sort of thing, they can't kind of pull that, because that's not an easy character to play. When you're constantly picking on your son and being a bully and stuff, like that comes off as really negative and kind of gross to look at. But there's a certain tone you hit with that where it's like, okay, we can laugh at this because we know that this is just ridiculous. This is not, we're not looking at a character to, we're not making like a grand statement or anything. It seems mean-spirited, but it's kind of like when two friends are talking. They would say stuff to each other that would be completely hurtful if you said it to a stranger or someone that didn't know you as well. But since you're friends, you can say that and laugh about it. That's kind of where this movie lives.
Yeah, and the third act is very interesting because there's an action sequence which is, I'm not going to say it's exactly like true romance, but there's a lot of characters involved in the third act.
I see that.
Right?
I see that.
And yeah. I like the way it was staged. It surprised me because there's an action sequence that takes place in one locale with a lot of people. And I liked how that was staged. But then there's another action sequence on top of that, which is different and well done. So those elements bumped London Calling up, as well as the chemistry between Josh Duhamel and Jeremy Ray Taylor. I'm giving it 3.5 stars. It was a fine, interesting movie that was bumped up by the third act, which I thought was very, very well executed.
I'm kind of right there with you. Like I think normally this would be like a kind of 2.5 star movie, but
Mhm.
that kind of camaraderie between all the actors and the way they interact, and I just thought it was really funny, and I really enjoyed how they kind of came together. I'd bump it up a full star for that.
Yeah, and without giving too much away, there's a couple of villains in this movie, and it's interesting to see the fate of the villains and which actually there's one villain
Yeah.
that actually shines in the movie that stands out, and he's not Aidan Gillen. And you think Aidan Gillen's he's one of the big baddies, but he does not give the showiest performance. And when you think of Aidan Gillen, you're thinking top actor. He's the beginning of that movie with what the Dark Knight, the one with Bane at the beginning, right? He's just a great actor, and he was in The Wire. So, but he's not the best villain in London Calling. I'm gonna leave that as sort of a secret, but because the main
I mean,
villain is
I already show my hands on what that is to me.
right. So that is London Calling, 3.5 stars for me and Eric. It's in theaters on Friday, September 19th. Before we
Three
go,
and a half, and put Rick Hoffman in more stuff, and I want to see more of this kind of Josh Duhamel. Because I don't hate Josh Duhamel. I don't
yeah.
love him, but like he kind of shows up and it's like, yeah, he's all right. And then like I really love this character in this. And I like if this is what Josh Duhamel's capable of, I want to see more of this. And of
Very,
course,
very,
Jeremy Ray Taylor, like
very
like
likable.
you know him from it. He's likable, but like his character at the beginning is like, okay, I've seen this character. He's kind of window dressing, or he's kind of the punching bag. But when his as the movie progresses and this character kind of becomes more developed, it's like, oh, okay, all right, we're on board with Julian now.
And the Jeremy Ray Taylor character is, I know the plot is fantastical, but it's really well written because you expect the character to become something or whatever, but it's more of a real life character regarding how he reacts to certain situations.
A
You see
little
what I'm
bit.
saying?
I mean, it's certainly heightened, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's a pretty well-grounded character within that heightened element. So
Yeah.
again, London Calling, check it out. Tell us what you think in theaters September
I don't want to
19th.
bump it up to
And
4 stars, no. But,
okay,
well, we'll say at 3.5. But yeah, this is definitely worth checking out.
okay, earlier this episode we mentioned Licorice Pizza. I believe Cooper Hoffman stars in this movie called The Long Walk. It's been out in theaters, I believe, what, a couple of weeks now. Eric Holmes was able to go see it in theaters. Eric Holmes, give us your mini review on The Long Walk and what your thoughts on it and whatnot.
Okay, well, before that, are you gonna go with the Secret Mall Apartment, or are we gonna leave that for Bruce?
I'm gonna leave the Secret Mall Apartment. I've seen it. I recommend it. I'm gonna let Bruce Purkey, who's more well spoken and articulate than me, actually review it. It's available currently on digital right now, but check out Bruce in the Attic to review that. Bruce will also be reviewing Night of the Reaper. It's a horror thriller, I believe. I think he ended up really enjoying that movie as well. And then Bruce will also have a review of Chain Reactions. So he has a lot of value added stuff at the second half of this episode over Languishing in the Attic. But before we go, Eric Holmes has The Long Walk, which
Yes.
is it long?
Uh-uh.
Did you like the walk? Is it
So the Long Walk is not a remake of the Matty Doe classic, The Long Walk. This is based on the Stephen King or Richard Bachman book of the same name. I read this book a while ago, and they've been trying to make this movie forever. I think at one point, for a while, Frank Darabont held the rights to it, and he was trying to get it made and couldn't. That's unfortunate because like Frank Darabont usually does really good Stephen King adaptations. Eventually, it landed on Francis Lawrence's lap, who did
Constantine?
Hunger Games,
Hmm.
Constantine, I Am Legend. I did not like the I Am Legend adaptation, but so I was kind of worried about this. But thankfully, Francis Lawrence didn't get Akiva Goldsman to adapt The Long Walk. He got J.T. Molnar, who wrote and directed Strange Darling, to do The Long Walk. And I gotta tell you, they made like anyone that's familiar with the story kind of would know sort of what to expect. And I think they should expect great things from this because this is a great adaptation. They changed not a lot of things, but they changed a few things in there.
For the better,
Um,
or does it matter? They're both good
and
no matter
there's
what.
certain changes where, like, well, for instance, like in the book, there's like 100 walkers, and then in the movie, there's 50, probably because, it costs less to hire 50 extras than it does 100 of them. Also, I think in the movie, the 50 comes from one walker from each state. So this is post-apocalyptic. I guess there was some war that happened in America that made most people destitute, and we're kind of stuck in this sort of not really a 1984 situation, but something kind of akin to that, or even kind of similar to where we seem to be heading at our current pace in America. But people join this long walk once a year, and what it is you start at the starting line. The major, played by Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill, gives his speech, and then you start walking. And if you fall under 3 miles an hour, you get a warning. You continue, you get a second warning. You get a third warning, they punch your ticket, which means they shoot you in the face and you die. If you trail off the road, if you step like on the grass or anything, you die immediately. No warnings. So it's basically just walk until you drop dead. And then the last person left standing wins like uncounted riches and they get a wish. And then so as the movie goes on, as the story goes on, obviously, I think most people probably figure this out, but you're just kind of living with the characters because they got nothing to do but walk and talk with each other. It's an Aaron Sorkin movie taken to the nth degree. It's just all walk and talk. But there's definitely some moments of kind of heartache in this because you start knowing the characters and you kind of I think the premise is a bit flawed just because I think most people would it if you don't take the premise at face value and start like just kind of scratching the surface, you're like, wait, why would someone do this? Why wouldn't they do X, Y, Z? Or it doesn't make sense to another long walk. It falls apart, but you just got to be. It's kind of like in The Martian. Mark Watney got stranded on Mars because of a storm. It's like there's no atmosphere on Mars. That wouldn't happen. But so you just got to buy into that stupid premise before, and then let that go, and then you can kind of accept the rest of it. But all the relationships that develop and all the grisly things that happen, like with a lot of the deaths, I think like some of them later on kind of sort of go off screen or a little more muted, but the early ones are pretty freaking graphic.
Oof.
And so it does that Texas Chainsaw Massacre thing. It sets a tone and it gives you stuff early on. And then when you leave, you think you saw more than you actually did. I think that's kind of what's going on here. Now, there's definitely some stuff to see, like someone's face getting blown off. One point, someone's ankle gets twisted. They're just kind of walking on this stump, with their foot just kind of dangling off to the side.
Yikes.
I don't know what I want to say. I would no, I'm not even going to talk about that. But I would say as an adaptation, it gets the tone perfect. I think some of the changes they make are for the better, especially Garrity's. In the book, Garrity's motivation is the same as anyone else's. We're destitute, a guy do the long walk. This will, if I win, then this will do good for us. A different motivation shows up later on, and I think it makes this movie stronger. There's
Eric, do not see
certain
this. People should not see The Long Walk because, I mean,
you hate
don't.
you hate good movies.
Okay. Because look,
That's it.
I'm just worried, like you said, grisly. I'm just worried because of the violence in the beginning, or am I being too much of a you know what?
I mean,
for abstaining?
if you need that kind of,
Hand-holding.
if you need that kind of warning, you already know you're not going to watch this.
Fair. That's
You
fair.
you would have saw the commercial and go, nope, not for me, and then just move on. It doesn't go so far over the top that like, it's not going to. Yeah, watch the trailer. You'll know what to expect. There's nothing to be that like, there's not like a bone tomahawk scene where they split the guy in half. There's nothing like that. But there are some scenes where you watch and go, but
Yeah.
nothing that would be out of the boundaries of what you would expect for a movie like this. I think where it hurts the most is that you get to know the characters. And because all the kids that are all the walkers, like from the moment the movie starts, all of them but one are doomed.
Right.
And then so the hope is, can they figure as they're walking, can some of them figure out a way out of this? Dude, they're real good friends. I want them all to live. This guy's an a-hole, so if they kill him, they punch his ticket. I don't care. But is there a way we can keep all these people alive? So you're just kind of holding on to the hope in the back of your head, knowing, nope, it's only going to be one of them. They're making friendships, they're making bonds, they're bonding with the audience. Me watching it, and I don't want them to die, but I know it's going to happen. And then it gets to the
Spoiler
end.
alert, everyone lives. Right?
There you go. All 50 of them make it to the finish line, and
Everyone's happy, and they
Luke
split it up.
Skywalker's like, you all have all become Jedi. Here's your lightsabers.
It's cool. I like this.
I would say, yeah, Judy Greer plays Garrity's mom. She's fantastic in this. And in fact, she's not in the movie much. And that was another change. I think in the book, Garrity had a girlfriend and a mom and a girlfriend character in the book that they both kind of I think they combined the two characters and just gave it all to the Judy Greer character. Not being his mom / girlfriend, but kind of the function of both characters, combine them into Judy Greer. And I think it works great in this because it kind of focuses Garrity's sort of, emotional response to her. And yeah, Judy Greer, just like anytime she shows up and her reactions to watching her son begin the walk, and then later on when she pops up and watches her son during the walk, it just breaks your heart watching it.
Oof.
And
that is tough.
David Johnson is Peter McVries. He's
such a great actor, that guy.
He's kind of the guy that's like kind of brings everyone together. He's the positive guy in the group, which if I remember correctly, the McVries character was not that. I could be wrong, but I don't remember his character being this likable in the book.
And Cooper's great, of course, right? Cooper Hoffman just.
Oh yeah. Obviously, I mean, he's basically the main character. So McVries, he's kind of the spark of hope.
Mm-hmm.
Like everyone's doomed. Everyone knows they're doomed. Everyone watching it knows they're doomed. There's no question about what's going on with these people. But David Johnson is just a spark of hope. And just the darkness, and he's trying to spread that light, and then he does until it doesn't happen. And
well, good. You just said it.
If you've read the movie or if you've read the book, this story is bleak. From my perspective, the movie doubles down on that.
Oof,
in a great way.
Yeah, and what we gotta also mention, right? David Johnson, right? David Johnson, like you were saying, Eric Holmes, I'm sure very memorable in this movie. I love the series that he was on called Industry. It's currently streaming on HBO, and he's very good in that. And I know, Eric, you and I have not seen this, but I think Bruce Purkey is a huge fan of the 2023 movie Rye Lane. He's just a very talented actor, and he's also was in Alien Romulus, and he was, in my opinion, the best part of that movie. So I really like him. I really love him as an actor, and obviously he's very good in this.
Well, we also have Charlie Plummer.
Who doesn't?
He's like
St. Jack.
Well, the Walkers don't love Charlie Plummer because he's an a-hole in this. But actually, his arc's really good too and he's also an a-hole in the book. He starts off as this cocky, arrogant mother effer. They just want to, like he's the one guy you want to see someone put a bullet in him. And he does something that ends up getting one of the other walkers killed. Mm-hmm. And then so the whole rest of the group shuns him. He's like trying to talk to him. He's like, get away from us, killer. We don't want to talk to you. He's like, you saw what happened. That wasn't my fault. You started and blah, blah, blah. And then so throughout the movie, you get to watch him just kind of become this arrogant, cocky son of a bee.
Yeah.
And then kind of turn more humble and almost turn to where he's just completely self-loathing. Mm-hmm. I didn't mean it. Like he's trying to, he can't push off what he did anymore. And he's had nothing but time to think about what he did because anytime he talks to anyone, they just bring it up to him. So watching his character arc's really, really great. Scenes where watching where that goes. There's another really great scene where won't give it away, but someone dies on their own terms. Mm-hmm. And maybe they're not going to go out alone.
Oh,
we'll keep it at that.
That
was an absolutely great scene. And yeah, the Long Walk, it's got like I think a lot of the changes they made kind of either as good as the book but different, or kind of you have to change it because it's a movie, so it would, it wouldn't work in the movies or with the book. And some of the changes I think made it better.
Very good.
So yeah, Long Walk, this is 6.9 stars. As this, I could not imagine a better adaptation of this source material.
Right. And okay, 6.9 stars from Eric Holmes for The Long Walk. Currently, as of this recording, it's in theaters. And just want to say, if you are a fan of Charlie Plummer's character in The Long Walk, please.
Then you have problems.
Then you have problems.
Seek help.
Number one. But if you're a fan of Charlie Plummer, the actor, please see this movie that is rarely seen. It's a movie called Lean on Pete. Great movie about a youth who bonds with a horse. And I don't know if you've seen that, Eric Holmes. Just, oh my gosh, that movie just such a great film. Have you heard of Lean on Pete? Have you ever seen Lean on Pete?
I've heard of it. I've not seen it yet.
It's so good. And then obviously the Clovage Killer. Who doesn't love the Clovage Killer, right? So there's
Clovage Killer is great.
Yes.
Watch The Long Walk, and when you get home, watch Clovage Killer, and then Lean on Pete. Maybe I'll watch The Long Walk again, and then watch Lean on Pete.
I guarantee Eric Holmes.
I'll do a Charlie Plummer 3-peat. I'm cool with that.
You don't have time because you are just doing so many movies and doing a lot of interviews. Good job on you on doing all that stuff. But Lean on Pete, in my opinion, is an Eric Holmes movie. You will give that movie at least 4.5 stars. You will love Lean on Pete. But that's it. For The Long Walk, that's 6.9 stars, currently in theaters. Thank you, Eric Holmes, for that. And we are done. Anything you want to say? It was a long episode. Eric, how long was this episode? This was almost 2 hours. We think we started 8. It was 90 minutes.
It was a long talk.
It was a long talk. And we also, hopefully, Eric Holmes and I, we survived this experience. And we were not, good. And here's a good news.
We would have stopped earlier, but Bruce would have shot us in the head. He's
exactly.
Sitting off camera. And I don't know how he pulled that off, but he does.
I can't wait to see The Long Walk again. Eric Holmes, spoiler alert, he said everyone survives in The Long Walk. So I guess I'm going to go in with a big, happy, smiley face.
Yeah, they all hold hands and skip past the finish line going, we all made it.
Yeah,
and then they all stop at the same time, and Mark Hamill comes up. There is no finish line, and then he lines them up, shoots one bullet through all their heads at the same time. They just all drop dead.
Oh no, that's a spoiler alert. But again,
and then Samuel Jackson walks up to Mark Hamill and says, "We're starting an Avengers initiative, but for villains. Would you like to join us?" He's like, "Sounds good. Do I get to kill more kids?" By the way, Francis Lawrence, he didn't mention he also did the Hunger Games movies.
Yes,
someone keep an eye on him.
Oh, right, exactly. Okay, so
he seems to have it out for it's a family show. I say F them kids a lot, but I do see usually it's a joke. But Francis Lawrence, and also as much as I didn't like his I Am Legend movie, just because the book's so good and the movie's so fine, I think the people that haven't read the book, like I Am Legend, people like myself who have read the book, it's like you don't know what you're missing. The book's so much better. I think he totally made up for it with The Long Walk.
Okay. I definitely can't wait to see The Long Walk. It's getting critically acclaimed, number one. And the audience, they absolutely love The Long Walk. Please tell us over in the CinemAddicts universe, tell us what you think of The Long Walk as well. Eric and I have been yapping about for 90 minutes. Let's get to some really contemplative, insightful movie reviews from Bruce Purkey, who is flourishing hopefully this week over at the CinemAddicts with 3 reviews. Again, that is Chain Reactions, that is Secret Mall Apartment, which Eric Holmes is actually about 10 minutes into. Who knows if he'll finish it? I think he will, because it's a very interesting documentary. And I think the final movie that not Eric Holmes or Greg Krasvosty, but Bruce Purkey, what's the third movie that he's going to do? Chain Reactions, a documentary on
with
reactions.
Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. Oh, Chain Reaction. That was a very interesting Keanu Reeves movie. But Chain Reactions is a movie on chain reactions to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which Bruce Purkey was able to see. Again, it's a movie documentary that I'm sure Eric and Holmes and I wanted to see as well. But there's so many movies that we haven't even seen the Vic Mackey movie, aka Michael Chiklis movie, The Senior. It's so many things.
I don't know who this Michael Chiklis guy you keep bringing up.
Exactly. And again, next week, as far as documentaries go, Eric Holmes has already seen a movie next week called Predators, which I'm going to join him with next week.
Oh, cannot wait to talk about that.
It should be very, very interesting. And then the other movies that we are going to review are Went Up the Hill, Dead of Winter. The assigned pick again is from, thank you, Tracy Stonefield Peters, for Francis. And then finally, All of You from Apple TV Plus. That is it. Eric Cohen's final thoughts before we get to Bruce Purkey.
I think we've talked enough. I'm just gonna sit down and take one in the head. So
okay,
I would say see you next week, but I probably won't be alive then.
Okay, on that bright, beautiful, sunny note, family show, here's Bruce Purkey over at the Cinem-Attic.
The Cinem-Attic, the attic of cinema. Once again, I am here with some movies for you that were sent over the airways, the internet, the cables that go under the seas to me from Greg Srisvasti, and it's all for you, Damien. Yes, I've got 3 screeners this week. I watched other things, but I'm probably not going to talk about them because they're not brand new movies. But I have 3 screeners out of, I don't know, we had like 8 on our list. And I'm sure the other guys have got 4 or 5 for you as well. If not all 8, I don't know. But I have 3 of them. And I will say this is a pretty good week. It's been a while since we've had like 3 really solid movies. At least I've had 3 really solid movies all on the same week of screeners. This week I've got Chain Reaction. It's a documentary. I've got Night of the Reaper. It's a Shudder, I believe it's a Shudder original. And I have Secret Mall Apartment, also a documentary. And that one got a lot of buzz when it came out. I want to say in Sundance, maybe? I know it came out, or maybe South by Southwest. It came out earlier this year in the festival circuit, and I remember hearing some buzz about it back then, and I had kind of forgotten about it until I saw it pop up on our list of screeners for the week. So let's get into it. First up, I've got Chain Reaction, a documentary about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And it's directed by Alexandra O. Philippe, who I immediately went, do I know that name? Why do I know that name? What is that name? Well, they were responsible behind Lynch Oz from a couple years ago, I do believe, where various artists, filmmakers, and so on had their little kind of like essays. It was kind of broken up into essays where they discussed the connections and the importance of The Wizard of Oz and David Lynch and how they kind of were intertwined in the American psyche. This director also was responsible for 7852, which is a documentary just about the shower psycho scene. Oh, the psycho shower scene. Let's reverse that. Flip it and reverse it. Let's do a Missy Misdemeanor Elliott on that. And if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I've seen it. I want to say it came out about maybe 10 years ago. The 7852 refers to 78 cuts in 52 seconds. And that was in the very influential and striking shower scene in Psycho. So this filmmaker seems to definitely have a thing for making movies about movies, documentaries about filmmaking or the effect of certain movies on people. And this is no different. It is about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And in this case, I would say it's very similar to Lynch Oz in the aspect that it's kind of broken up into the recollections, the effects, the influence that this movie has had on different specific people. And by doing that, you're kind of getting a universal kind of feel for how this movie has worked on other people. The people they have here, segments from Patton Oswalt, obviously famous nerd culture dude, comedian. Also, he has played in quite a few movies. The ones I think of, what was that one where he was a crazy fan? That was a really good one. I can't remember what it was called now. Maybe it was called The Fan. No, it's called something like that. And he also played the voice in Ratatouille. He's been in a bunch of things. You would probably at least recognize his voice. Kishi Miike, famous for Audition and Ichi the Killer, and it was a Gozu and not Visitor Q. Was it Visitor Q? Oh, he's made a bunch of things. In fact, so many bunch of things. He makes like 5 or 6 movies a year. He's like been around for like 20 years and he's made 300 movies or something crazy. Alexander Heller Nicholas, which was the one name I did not recognize on the list. And that person, I believe, is a kind of a influential, like, looks like maybe a critic, film historian critic in Australia. And then Stephen King, don't have to say who Stephen King is, obviously. And then Karen Kusama, also famous filmmaker in her own right. And they just essentially just go about like kind of personally and how culturally and how artistically they feel the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is super important. So if you're a fan of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I think there's, a ton of fun to be had here. There is a lot of kind of behind the scenes shots and footage just kind of interspersed with it, along with the regular footage from the movie, as you would guess, as well as a bunch of other movies, because they'll talk about movies of their own or movies that have been affected by this movie, cultural stuff that's been affected by it, or maybe where it came from. So it's kind of cool in that way. But it's not going to be like an exhaustive documentary on the film itself. It's much more how the film has affected the world, I guess you'd say. Now, if you're not a fan of Texas Chainsaw Massacre or have never seen it, this might give you a chance to look at it with a little more of a critical eye, or maybe give it some appreciation that you may never have considered giving it. Now, I'm a huge fan of the movie. Like many horror fans, it's kind of up there as one of, even if it's not your favorite, it's got to be one of the most impactful movies. Myself, of all the movies I saw back in that day, I did not see it in the theater. I was a little too young, and my parents weren't taking me to drive-ins or anything during the 70s. So I wasn't really seeing horror movies like in the theater until early 80s. So Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's funny because the story that Patton Oswalt says about his experience seeing Texas Chainsaw Massacre and his kind of connection to it, I would say I'm very in line with Patton Oswalt, into Star Wars and all this other stuff at the time, but also into horror and consuming these old kind of classic things like, Last House on the Left or whatever it might be. In this Texas Chainsaw Massacre, all these kind of very notorious movies, especially from the 70s and earlier, consuming them on VHS. So, going to the store, it finally comes out, you see it in VHS, you rent it, you watch it, and it's, a dubious quality already on VHS. And then how many times that tape might have been watched, it's going to be kind of not the best version you're going to see that movie in, but it really works with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And a lot of people in this movie kind of talk about the act of seeing the movie in its less than pristine form is a feature, not a bug, when it comes to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because it kind of gives it even a more of a documentary grittiness that it just aids the movie in being weird and disturbing. And the one thing they didn't do too much in this movie at all was talk about the making of the movie. And that's one thing I would point out here. I'm not a huge, listen to the director's commentary person. I know some people are. Jason Kleberg, I know he loves to do that. And I remember getting Texas Chainsaw Massacre was one of the first DVDs I got when I got a DVD player back in the early thousands, probably around 2000, honestly. 2001, I was an early adopter. And Texas Chainsaw Massacre still in my mind stands as one of the best kind of commentary from that era, partly because there's certain movies, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one of those movies, where the making of the movie, kind of like Fitzcarraldo or something like that, where the making of the movie is almost as fascinating as the movie itself. And usually in horror movies, when you find out how the movie was made, it demystifies it a little bit. It makes it less scary. It makes it less disturbing, less crazy. You're finding out how they did the effects, and everyone was having a good time on the set, and they were joking around. You see something like Art the Clown now, joking around with the people he's killing, because obviously it's just a movie. But Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one of those where, when you hear about the behind the scenes stuff, it makes it crazier. It feels like a movie that was just off the rails, being made by crazy people, about crazy people in crazy times. So it just adds to the mythos. One of the key moments I remember from that, and they don't talk about it in this movie, so I'm not giving anything away, is there's a moment or a scene in the movie where everyone knows about this, where the main, final girl is, strapped to a chair, and they're trying to get the grandpa to kill her. And at one point they cut her finger so the grandpa can suck the blood out of her finger. It's a really gross scene. and also a really disturbing scene because it's almost the grandpa's infantilized, but in this really gory, gruesome way. And if I remember correctly, in the making of the movie, they kept trying to do the fake cut blood on her thumb, and it couldn't get it to work. So they just went off to the side, took the cover off of the knife or whatever they were using, brought it back in without telling the actor, and just cut her thumb for real. That's the way this movie worked. Really messed up. So I would recommend Chain Reaction. For me, it's 4 stars. I think it's one of those value-added documentaries for people who love it, like I said, and for people who don't, it gives you a lot as well. I think the only reason it wouldn't be like 5 stars for me is because, well, I've seen the movie a ton. I'm very familiar with it, so I'm not getting super new visual information, and I kind of get a lot of the connections, a lot of these things I've kind of experienced myself. So I think it might be even more valuable for people who aren't as steeped in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original movie. Okay, the second documentary we had this week, even better possibly, is Secret Mall Apartment, directed by Jeremy Workman. And this is quite an interesting movie. So this is an example where you have a movie about a subject that is just odd. It would be like the kind of like a human interest story or some kind of weird little story you'd get on the internet now, but in the old days, maybe in the newspaper. And it would just be like this curious story at the end of the broadcast, like, oh, these people were found to have made their own little apartment in a hidden area of the mall that no one knew about. And they were there for several years. And that alone is a story. And you think to yourself, that's really weird. What is that story? You assume they're probably homeless people or people trying to squat there. And you would kind of think to yourself like, well, that's interesting, but how is that enough for a full documentary? And that's the key to this. That's the key to this movie. There is so much more to this. And that's what makes it really, really entertaining and really interesting. First of all, at its heart, it's about this artist, Michael Townsend. He's still an artist, but he was an artist back then. And he was part of an artist collective. And they lived in kind of this rundown factory district in Providence, Rhode Island, probably less than a mile away from where this giant mall, which I wrote it down, Providence Place, I think. I don't remember the name of the mall. But they basically lived not very far from this giant mall that was being built to kind of revitalize Providence back in the 90s. And this artist collective was, like I said, living in factory space, rundown factory space, which was definitely destined to be destroyed and redeveloped very quickly. So the people that were living, this artist bohemian lifestyle, or people who were living kind of literally on the wrong side of the tracks in Providence, see this giant behemoth icon to consumerism and money, whereas they were all being basically pushed out of an area that they could at least afford to live in. You can imagine them having a lot of animosity towards this mall. And while it was being built, this one artist, who's very interesting, this Michael Townsend guy, along with his other cohorts, but especially him, he always had an odd way of looking at art, like in the sense that, where could art be done in an interesting place, in an interesting way that you wouldn't consider necessarily art, almost like secret installations, almost a Banksy sort of an attitude. Make art anywhere and make it a surprise to people. You don't do it in a gallery where you have a giant grand opening. You do these things because they matter to you, and the people will discover them, and they'll have more impact because of that. And in a sense, this is kind of how his Secret Mall Apartment thing kind of was born and kind of went forward. And he saw, while it was being built, he saw in the odd construction design of this mall these places where there should be gaps, and he kind of wondered about them. So then, of course, years later, they find a way to sneak in there and find that gap and discover it truly is the secret kind of large gap in the middle of nowhere in the bowels of the heights of this mall. And, thus hatches the idea that he could actually bring stuff in there and make it an apartment, like a livable working apartment, secretly under the noses of all this money and kind of suburban, shine. There'd be this kind of a grungy art collective, kind of anarchist sort of a group. Not really anarchist, like the kind of against the establishment spirit there. So the movie is kind of that. It's partly almost like a heist in the sense of like secretly accomplishing something within a space you're not supposed to be in as a group. So there's this kind of a heist feel to it. Like, how are they going to make this happen? And how are they going to do it? And how they plan it out and how they get it done. So if you like heist movies, this is a documentary that might really appeal to you. And then along with that, there's a real sense of kind of the underground, do-it-yourself, punk rock, guar, this just build it and make it for your own people in your own way with whatever resources you have kind of ethos. And also just kind of really elevating the idea of art is for everybody, and art actually does matter, and art actually does contribute something to humanity in a way you might not expect. And it's not just this apartment, because it does really get into a lot of the other things that they've done artistically and kind of how those have impacted people. And it's all interesting. And it doesn't shy away from the fact of when you have people who are really into their art, whether it's filmmaking or writing, or in this case, visual constructive arts, you will always have that kind of pull between the drive to be the artist and to get your stuff out there, and the drive to actually have a productive personal life. And does that or does that not work? Can they coexist? So there's a lot of stuff about that in here as well. Excellent movie. I haven't really revealed all the twists and turns. It's not like a movie you have to get the reveals, but the reveals are fun. I would just say this is a very engaging, very focused, but very surprising at many times documentary. It's also fun in a lot of ways. It's got really interesting and vibrant characters. You have things to root for. You have moments of tension when you're worried about characters. It's fantastic documentary. I'm going to go 5 stars. One of the best documentaries of the year, for sure. This goes right up there with Checkpoint Zoo for me. I would say Checkpoint Zoo and Secret Mall Apartment are right up at the top for my favorite documentaries of the year. Check this out wherever you can. I'm sure it'll be available pretty soon on some kind of a platform. If you're looking behind me, you saw my dog just come in. That's Rosemary. She wanted to join us, apparently. All right, last up, we have the non-documentary of the week, and that is called Night of the Reaper, directed by Brendan Christensen, who directed a movie called Z, which I remember seeing, I want to say, like 7 years ago. And I remember it being a cool, weird little horror movie. Kind of faded out of my memory, but now I'm kind of remembering it, and I kind of wanted to go back check it out. Because I remember it being kind of better than you think it would be. And there's another movie he made, I forgot to write it down, that a lot of people have kind of praised. So I feel like Brendan Christensen, it might be a kind of secret, up-and-coming, interesting genre filmmaker that's just kind of somewhat flying under the radar, and it might just need their big break. And I don't know if this will be their big break, but it's, once again, a movie that definitely fights way above its weight. And I will point out once again, Shudder, please make some better movie posters for your movies. A lot of times the movie poster kind of flash screen or whatever they have for the different movies, it just looks cheap and doesn't make the movie look like it will be anything you're interested in. It looks like it's going to be a grade Z, another straight to streaming kind of movie. And a lot of times the movies Shudder has curated are way better than that, if not great. So they need to really get some justice on some graphic design there. That's my call out to Shudder. Not that they're going to ever listen to this, but please just get some interesting artwork there for people, to entice people to come in and see these movies that need some love. So Night of the Reaper. First of all, you've got a few main characters. I'll definitely point out the 2 main characters, and that's probably the Sheriff Rod, played by Ryan Robbins, and Dina, played by Jessica Clement. And they're probably your there's a lot of characters in here, but they're your main ones. So anyway, this movie starts out in kind of the most generic slasher sort of movie way. First of all, it's a period piece, so it's back in the 80s. We've seen this in Stranger Things, and what was it? The summer of, all the different years, the Fear Street movies. So it's kind of been done, and you're like, okay, I've seen a lot of these movies before. And you have. And this starts out with a young girl, very classic horror trope setup, a young girl babysitting 2 kids in a house, and things start going weird, and she starts seeing a note left in her in the house. Is there someone in the house with her? When a stranger calls, kind of a thing. And creepy stuff starts happening, and then eventually, you see the killer with the knife, and she's doomed. And then you get the title, Night of the Reaper, and and the killer is wearing a mask, like a skull mask with a hood, kind of like a reaper, like a grim reaper. And you're like, well, I was thinking to myself, this could be just kind of generic retro slasher knockoff kind of movie. And if it were, it would be fine. We don't have a lot of great slasher movies anymore. It looked like it could be solid. The camera work and the cinematography was kind of bright and clear and crisp. It kind of gave you that old school sort of a feel. It had kind of a neat thing where during the credits, it would have normal cinematography, but when the name would pop up, it would kind of crackle and distort and fuzz out like a videotape. And just stylistically, it seemed to have a little bit of style to it, but not like a super in your face, overly, colored light, fake 80s sheen style. It had its own kind of a good vibe to it. So I was kind of like giving this a chance. I'm like, I don't know, what is this movie? And then it flash forwards a few years after that girl has been killed. And your basic setup is you have this police officer, I told you before, the sheriff, and his wife had died very close to the time of that murder in a car wreck. So he's, still kind of in a bad place. And this young girl is coming back from college, Dina. And Dina had obviously been around during the time of that killing. She remembers it. And she is back in town kind of trying to reconnect. Very Stephen King in that way. And very quickly, her old friend back there who has a babysitting job convinces Dina to take her job for her that night because Dina's friend is sick. So Dina takes the babysitting job. She's babysitting the sheriff's son. So you're kind of like, okay, this is going to all come together somehow. And you're thinking like, oh, it's just going to be like she's going to get stalked by the same killer, blah, 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 blah. But it ends up being a lot more interesting than that. It ends up being kind of this interesting mystery scavenger hunt, not overly gory, this is not a Terrifier kind of a style of movie. It's almost old school in the amount of gore you get, which is not a lot, but a lot of suspense and tension. And the basic idea is this. Out of nowhere, a box shows up on the doorstep of the sheriff. And inside the box is a videotape. And I think it said like Night of the Reaper or something like that. And in it you see, I remember the first one. I think the first one was I'm trying to remember what it was now. But it was some footage that showed that the person had been close to the killing, the old babysitter killing. And what happens is each of these videotapes leads the police officer to go to a location from that related somehow to that old killing and find another clue, essentially. Like I said, a scavenger hunt, like either another videotape. At one point he finds a garage door opener. Oh, that has a meaning behind it. So you're kind of getting this interesting mystery that you're following, and he's about to go off the hinges because he's very emotionally unstable. And then meanwhile, you've got Dina basically being a babysitter, and you're wondering what's going to happen to her. And that alone would be a pretty good solid indie horror movie setup. And it is. And it's done effectively, and it's some really good tension. Like I said, if you want the really gory, out of the gate kind of movie, it's not that. But if you're enjoying that vibe, you're going to really enjoy this movie. And I'd say that enough would be good, 3-star movie or whatever. But let's just say there are some twists and turns that happen in the last third of this movie, especially in the last third of this movie, that really elevate this movie. I mean, and it is a little bit preposterous. And if you get too logically minded about it, which I can be sometimes, you might look at it and go, oh, wait, what? How's that happening? But if you just kind of go with it, it really, I think, really elevates the movie into a very, very nice little horror movie. I had a lot of fun with this. There also, I want to point out, the trope that drives me crazy, and I think Eric is on my boat on this one, is the dead dog trope, where you have an animal, like a family pet is shown early in a movie, and you're like, well, that family pet's obviously going to die, get killed by the killer, so that later you'll feel terrible and you'll be mad at the killer. It's just a very cynical way to get quick emotion. And there's a use of dead dogs in this movie that I did not see coming. And that was well done and actually kind of, and I love dogs, so don't get me wrong. But I mean, it played with the trope, but also used it in a way that was actually integral to the story and part of the plot. So I'll point that out. I'm going to go 4 stars on Night of the Reaper. I think this movie has a real chance, at least for horror fans, of kind of being a little sleeper hit. I could see this kind of garnering some real cult love over the next few years. Once again, it's not going to knock people's socks off with crazy gore and just over the top, Terrifier type of stuff, because it's not that kind of dumb, blunt force trauma. It really wants to give you some style, give you some interesting, clever storytelling with a real great lead. I really, really liked Jessica Clement playing Dina. You could really sympathize with her and root for her, and that's even when things are turning around and getting weird, that's a real key to a movie like this, because if you have just dead, not literally, but just emotionally just dead and dumb, like just characters there to be killed, then these movies for me just kind of can fall flat really quickly. And by having a real identifiable main character and actually not even having that big of a body count at all, just having this character and an interesting story, I think you really give it a chance for the movie to have some legs, and I think this will. Night of the Reaper, 4 stars. Once again, a really solid week. What would I suggest? It kind of depends on your mood. If you want a cool little indie horror movie that's absolutely probably under your radar, Night of the Reaper is great. But if you want a great documentary, a fantastic one, probably one of the best of the year, then Secret Mall Apartment for sure. And then if you want a solid documentary that's going to kind of really just delve into something that you kind of already probably love, then Chain Reaction's good as well. And that's what I've got for this week. So, hey, put them down, mark them down in your book, whatever you do. Speaking of books, I have a journal, movie journal. I've had this, I write down like notes and stuff and ratings and things for all the movies that I do. And my journal is down to like the last page, I think, almost the last page. I need to get a new journal. But I will tell you when I know what my first and last entry are. But I can tell you my first entry. I'm not going to tell you what it was, but I'm going to tell you the first entry I had was on August 19th, 2023. So I got nearly 2 years out of this journal. Interesting. We'll find out when I get to it. All right, guys. Have a good week. I shall be going back into the attic, and I'll talk to you soon.